It's kind of funny in this area. If you look in the phone book, there's probably 3 pages of Martin's. It was a big slave plantation, and so we all received that name from our quote-unquote slave master and whatnot, and so that's why we get the Martin from. I think it was Robert Townsend that said image controls everything, and so a lot of times they portray the Tea Party as the only people speaking out, the only people voicing their opinions, and it's kind of funny because I'm wondering who owns the media when you do things like that, and they keep on showing those images of people being against healthcare when really we did a summer canvass and probably about 75% people said they wanted healthcare reform. The media definitely portrays because they're looking for ratings. So when you see people arguing, that draws attention, and that's what the media is trying to get attention. From a community organizing standpoint, I do love how Tea Party comes out in numbers. I can't argue that, but it's what they're arguing is the problem. I feel like they're very passionate, but they're very misinformed because I'm looking out throughout the crowd sometimes and they're fighting against their own interests. And so I'm wondering who's, Carter G. Woodson wrote a book, The Miseducation of the Negro. So I'm wondering who's miseducated some of the Tea Party about certain information. During our summer canvass, they didn't realize who we were as Virginia Organizing Project, and so we're going door to door, and they asked us to pass out one of their events, and we were like, no, we're nonpartisan, we can't do that. And so they said, well, would you mind coming out? And so just sitting there talking to them about things they wanted to change in the area and whatnot. Asked him if he had a job, he didn't. Asked him if he had health care, he didn't. And so this is one of the things that the healthcare reform addresses is people that don't have the money, but then it makes it more affordable for everybody to have, especially when the unemployment rate in Danville is 14%. Martinsville was like 19, I'm sure it's went up even more. That's one of the main issues that gets me when Perriello was hosting some of those community conversations, because they're asking him questions, but then when he's trying to answer, they're just screaming back and forth, not even allowing him to educate more. Not trying to sway them, but just, you ask me a question, I'm trying to answer the question. And so sometimes you disrespect people like that and you don't see the human side of people. And so sometimes you get frustrated at people. But at the same time, the Tea Party are people, and you never want to forget that. It's like a child that sits there and just cries and cries and cries. He's crying because he wants attention, instead of actually talking it out, having dialogue. We're adults. Let's have dialogue. Let's work this problem out. Instead of Republican, Democrat, let's go ahead and work this problem out for the betterment of everybody. Forget this party lines and all this mess. The Bible says it's good for us to sit down and reason together. When you can get an atmosphere where everybody's talking and dialoguing, not a monologue, but a dialogue when everybody's talking together, that's how you're going to solve this issue. A lot of times when you see somebody, before you even say Hispanic American or you say the descent of somebody before you say the human part of that person. And unless you start seeing the human first before you see my cultural background, before you see maybe my struggle, you need to see first that I'm a human being. And until people start seeing that people are human beings first, nothing's ever going to change. I think it was Voltaire that said, so long as the people fail to exercise their rights of freedom, those who wish to tyrannize will do so. For tyrants are active and ardent and devote themselves in the name of many gods to put shackles upon sleeping men. So I respect the fact that they want to stand up and speak, but just know what you're speaking for. And then sit down and listen to the other person's point of view. So I do respect those people as human beings in the Tea Party. Just sometimes listen to your opponent's point of view so we can learn together. Let's learn together. I might have some things wrong that you need to instruct me on, but screaming at me, I automatically turn off when you start screaming at me. I heard a quote once that said, it's better to understand than to be understood. If you ever do run against or run opposing to Tea Party, I will first listen to their points, allow them to get everything out they need to say, and then say, would you allow me to speak now? We want to hear what the people are saying and then fight on those issues. I think it's good that you're taking power away from the media and saying, not only do you have an opinion, but you have a voice, and helping people to exercise that voice, to be heard. It's a beautiful thing.